Hey guys, I've been a Challenger player for the last 3 sets, and patch 12.13 has been out for a week already. The meta has stabilized a bit, so I'm going to give you my thoughts on how I think you should play the current patch. So first things first, the 4-cost dragons are not as impactful as the last patch. Back then when you hit any one of these dragons at stage 3, you already knew what you were going to play, and it was a free pass level 8 and a free top 4. But now it's not the case anymore. You're still probably going to have to roll a bit at level 7 to stabilize. There are a few notable units that in my opinion are a little bit too strong right now. It's going to be LILLIA and ELISE. LILLIA just does way too much damage in my opinion, and her tags are really strong for early game. ELISE is broken not because she could pull out like first and seconds. She's broken because you could play her from behind at almost any spot and still pull out a fourth. For example, you could be like 10 lose into level 7, you roll the fuck down for a level 7 ELISE board, and you just win streak all the way until stage 5, and you could still pull out a fourth from that spot. But overall, I would say that the meta is pretty balanced. And in metas that are balanced like this, the players that are rewarded the most are going to be the flex players that have the knowledge of the most comps. So in every game in the current meta, you're generally going to have to make a decision on whether you want to roll down at level 6, 7, or 8. And this is going to depend on a variety of factors. I've separated all the comps that are viable this patch based on whether you roll at 6, 7, or 8. You want to roll at level 6 if A, you're win streaking really hard and you want to roll down to maintain tempo, or B, you're omega low rolling early game and you need to roll down at level 6 to stabilize, or you're just going 8th anyway. The 3 comps you could play from this spot are going to be LILLIA, Nami, and VARUS. There are comps that stabilize at 7 as well, and one of the notable comps from this spot is going to be ELISE, as I mentioned before. She's turbo broken. You want to try your best to always keep the option for ELISE open at level 7 if you're rolling down, because if you still have this option open, you have a very high chance of coming back from a very low roll opener and managing to pull a 4th or 5th from that spot. But overall, the main viable level 7 comps are going to be ELISE, SHIN, OLAF, Ryze, VARUS, and DAEJA. And finally, if you're high rolling your early game and mid game super hard, you want to look towards playing one of 3 comps to win out. XAYAH is just as strong as before. CORKI is a lot stronger than last patch, and there is a better variant this meta that includes 3 mages, which in my opinion is a lot stronger. And finally, SHIN is probably the highest cap, so if you ever get in a spot where you could play SHIN, you definitely want to look towards playing it. There are 2 units that you definitely want to avoid. Just don't click these units, they're getting buffed next patch. So first, I'm going to go over all of the playable AD comps. I'm probably only going to go in depth on the new ones that popped up. For example, like ELISE, VARUS, Skilled VARUS. For these level 8 comps, I already went through them in my past videos, so I'm pretty sure you guys are more familiar with them. So I'm only going to briefly touch up on these. So the first one is going to be ELISE SY'FEN. So as I was saying before, ELISE is broken because she's the queen of farming top 4s for you, even when you're playing from behind. Basically, at level 7, the ideal board you want to roll down for is a board like this. You stabilize off of a 2-star ELISE, a 1-star SY'FEN, and a 1-star Nico. If you don't hit a 1-star Nico, you could also just play a 2-star Gnar. The key here is that you need to have an established front line for ELISE to pop off because she needs Gwynsu's. So for itemization for ELISE, it's going to be 1 attack speed item, 1 defensive item, and 1 healing item. The attack speed could be Gwynsu's or RFC. The defensive could be Edge of Night or QSS. And the healing item could be Bloodthirster, Hodge. If you have a healing augment, you don't have to get the healing item. You could just go for a 3rd damage item like Archangels. But in reality, best in slot for ELISE doesn't matter too much because usually when you're playing ELISE, you're playing for top 4 anyway. So you just slam whatever items you get and play for the highest placement possible. So after you roll down for this board, ideally you win streak all the way until stage 5 and you econ back up and you stay level 7. And then later on, once the rest of the lobby spikes, you want to roll down the rest of your gold and go for ELISE 3. If you get ELISE 3, you could go 1st or 2nd. If you don't, you could just stay happy with your 4th or 5th. So at level 7, let's say you don't hit this board, there are a few other variations you could go. This is the 4 shapeshifter variant, in which case you're just going to be playing Swain and Gnar. Another variation to this at level 8 is if you get Pike. In this case, you could just drop your Sylas for Ornn, and you could play a Qiyana for the Tempest package. Notice how I dropped Sylas instead of Thresh. The reason why I kept Thresh in is because I actually think that Thresh is quite important for the ELISE comp, because what ends up happening is Thresh hooks the corner unit in, and this helps a lot with ELISE getting her reset. The final variation at level 8 is instead of playing Braum as your 2nd Guardian, you could instead play Taric, and this way you could play Soraka for 3 Jade. This lets you heal up a bit and gives you the 3 Jade synergy to buff your ELISE and your SY'FEN. So next up, I'm going to talk about VARUS. VARUS is another fantastic comp to play from behind, and it's a comp you roll for at level 6 or 7. The reason why VARUS could be played from behind is because VARUS needs a lot of bows, and bows are a very contested component on Carousel. And if you play from behind, you're going to have pick pry out every single time, so you will have enough bows to get this comp online. Usually at level 6, you're going to have to roll down just a little bit to make sure you don't lose too much HP. Generally, you want a established front line. You want a 2-star either Alawi or Sylas. You want to make sure you have 3 Astrolin to make sure you're getting good chops to 3-star your Varus. And you want a semi-established backline. A 2-star Varus is ideal, but if you don't get it, a 1-star is fine as long as you get a 2-star Twitch or a Nami. So there are a few different options you could take when you're playing Varus. The first variant is going to be the Mage variant, which I consider to be one of the weaker ones, but it's basically when you play Sylas, Heimer, and Nami as your 3 mages level 7, and Lulu is going to give you 2 trainer, and Lulu is good because she also gives you a ton of attack speed for your Varus. At level 7, you're usually forced to roll down all the way to 0 or 10 gold to make sure you're stable, and you're going to want to hit Varus 3, Nami 3, and Alawi 3. Hitting Nami 3 very early is good because it makes your Astral shops a lot better at level 7. Not to mention that Nami is actually a very, very good unit by herself, and she's a Mystic as well, which is very good in an AP heavy meta. So in my opinion, the stronger variant is going to be the Guild Varus variant. The reason why this comp is strong is the exact same reason why Guild XAYAH is strong. It gives you access to 2 assassins, so you could abuse Frozen Heart. It also gives you access to Tempest from Ornn and Qiyana. And Talon is really good at helping you finish off the backline, because normally when you're playing Varus, you're usually playing front to back, but Talon enables you to finish off key carries that Varus alone can't. The last variant is going to be the Double Trouble variant, in which case you're playing 2 Alawis and 2 Varuses. The moment you see Double Trouble 2 or 3, you always want to make sure if you can play Varus from that spot, usually it's the freest top 4 of your life. In this variant, you're just going to be playing 2 Alawis and 2 Varuses and 1 Twitch, and you're flexing the rest of your board depending on what you hit. So here's Guild XAYAH. I'm sure you guys are already masters of Guild XAYAH, but I'm just going to talk about it for 15 seconds in case you guys forget. You only want to play Guild XAYAH if you're high rolling, because Guild XAYAH needs a lot of money to get online. Because if you don't have a 2-star frontline and a 2-star XAYAH, you're going 8th guaranteed. At level 8, you don't have any room to fit Bard. Bard is not stronger than anything here. At level 9, only then can you play the Bard. So for CORKI, CORKI is a lot stronger this patch than the last patch, and you generally want to lean towards playing CORKI if your early game is pretty good and you have a trainer opener. So there's a new variant of CORKI this patch, and it's going to be the 3 mage variant. Basically, instead of playing Idis as your front line, you're instead going to be playing SY'FEN and Sylas. Because Sylas is a mage and Heimerdinger is a mage as well, and you're usually playing him for trainer, you could just slot in a 3rd mage like Zoe, which is low-key broken this patch, and it'll give you a free 3 mage synergy. CORKI doesn't actually need 2 Cannoneer. In my opinion, 2 Cannoneer is kind of fake. CORKI already has enough damage on its own, and the utility from Heimer and Zoe is, in my opinion, a lot more valuable than the 2 Cannoneer trait. Alternatively, if you don't hit SY'FEN 2, another option you could play is going to be Ornn Qiyana. Here, your front line suffers a bit, but if you're playing Qiyana, she's an assassin, so you could abuse Frozen Heart. But additionally, if you want to just play the classic variant, it's just going to be a 2 Guardian frontline with Idis, and your backline is going to consist of Tristana for trainer, and then you can just slot in your Bard and your Sona. So reroll Nidalee is the exact same as before. Remember that you could only play Nidalee if you have the correct opener, and this is when all of your item components are good for Nidalee, because Nidalee again is all about tempo. You want to 5 lose into the first minion round to make sure you have enough gold to hit your Nidalee 3. And then afterwards, you want to make sure that you win streak all the way until stage 4 or 5. Because you want to ensure the win streak after you hit, you have to make sure that your early game item components are good or you can't play this comp. So basically at level 4, 8 out of 10 EXP with 3 Astrolin, you roll down for Nidalee 3 and you want to pick up all the bruisers along the way, and your level 6 board is going to look something like this. And at level 7 or 8, you want to play into SY'FEN or ELISE, and you could choose to either secondary carry your ELISE or your SY'FEN depending on your items, and you want all of your tank items on your Nico. Next up is going to be SYN OLAF. You can play this comp if you get a SYN spat, and this is a roll at level 7 comp. Basically, you roll down for this board at level 7. You want to play 4 SYNs and 4 bruisers and SYN spat your OLAF. This comp is good because you could abuse Frozen Heart, and in case you don't want to play SYN OLAF, you could also SYN your SY'FEN. In this case, you would probably just drop the Diana for a better unit. If you're playing SYN SY'FEN, you generally want to try and play around ELISE because she's really good right now. And if you're playing ELISE, you want to play Nico as well, and you could just slot in whatever you hit. So now I'm just going to briefly talk about the AP tree and why I think it's a lot stronger this patch. So the problem with AP last patch was because there was really only one viable AP comp, and that was DAEJA. In the current patch, Mages got buffed and LILLIA is also really good. This opens up the path to SHIN, which is the most capped board of the game currently. So you actually have a lot more options to play around AP. If you have AP items and you're low rolling, you generally want to play around LILLIA or Mages. If you have AP items and you're high rolling, you could again play around LILLIA or Mages and roll at level 6 or 7. But the difference is, in this case, you could actually go 9 and play around SHIN. Additionally, you could also play around DAEJA if you want to roll at level 7. So LILLIA is going to be a roll at level 6 comp. She's a great comp to maintain your win streak or to play when you're low rolling. And a very key indicator of when you should play Lillia is if you get a SCALESCORN spat or augments. The reason for this is because you could end up dropping Braum and play a way better unit late game for a very, very capped board. So at level 6, you don't have to roll down for this board exactly. There are a lot of different variations you can roll down for. Just apply your strongest board fundamentals. For example, another board you could play around could be something like this. In this case, you're just going to be playing around 3 Cavs and ELISE and Thresh. Additionally, you could play 3 mages as well. In this case, you would drop Thresh and ELISE for 2 additional mages. So at level 6, once you roll down for this board, you want to econ back up and then slow roll for LILLIA 3. After you hit LILLIA 3, you could go level 7 and then slow roll for Diana and Olaf. The most capped board you could get with this comp is probably going to look something like this. You're going to have 3-star Olaf, Diana, and LILLIA. And then you're going to be playing 3 mages, which is Sylas and Zoe. And you're going to tech in Talon for some backline access and Sejuani. You don't have to play 3-roll version. Instead, remember, if you're win streaking, you could just stick with this 2-star board. And notice how LILLIA uses Archangels really, really well. It's a very, very easy pivot to Ao-Shin because this board should win streak you all the way until stage 4 or 5. And the moment you hit 1 Ao-Shin, you just sell the LILLIA and tech in Ao-Shin. So next up is going to be mages. So mages could be played when you have AP items and could be played from behind or when you're win streaking. So if you're playing from behind, you just roll down for this board. At level 6, you're going to be 50 HP. This should be stable enough for you to win all the way until stage 4. And then you want to econ back up, stay at level 6, and then roll down again later for 3-star Nami. In my opinion, I think you should itemize Nami and not Rise. The reason why is because you're guaranteed to hit Nami 3-star, which is going to be a lot more impactful than a 2-star Rise. At level 6, in my personal opinion, you generally don't want to play 5 mages because you want 3 Astral in to make sure you get your Astral shots, and you also want 2 Trainer in to continually feed your Namzi. Generally, you don't need 5 mages to win your fights, in my opinion, because your entire board is going to be 2-star since you roll down at level 6. And then only at level 7 should you play 5 mages, and this is what your board should look like. Once you hit your 3 stars, you could drop your Vlad for Zoe since you don't need Astral anymore because Zoe has a higher cap. At any point in your roll down, once you hit Ao-Shin, start slowly making your transition into Ao-Shin. For example, since you're playing 5 mages, you just want to drop 2 of your mages and play Ao-Shin. Usually you just drop Rise and 1 other mage. If you have a 3-star Nami, you want to keep the Nami, so you just drop the Zoe. Otherwise, you generally want to drop the Nami as well and keep Zoe in. So something like this, and you just play your Ornn instead of your Alawi. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about Ao-Shin since I just finished talking about LILLIA and mages. So both LILLIA and mages are a very, very good transition into Ao-Shin if you're high rolling. And the only item you need for Ao-Shin is going to be Archangels. Shojin is nice, but if you have Archangels, on Ao-Shin's first cast, by that time, Archangels has already finished scaling up and he's going to one-shot the enemy team anyway. The Ao-Shin comp is very, very flexible. The only 2 units you need are going to be Ao-Shin and Ornn. Every other unit is flex because remember, a strong board is just going to be a good front line and a good back line. The only back line you need is going to be Ao-Shin. Every other unit is just going to be front line. In my opinion, this is probably the strongest variation though, because Heimer is a great utility unit and gives you access to Namzi with Lulu. Nami's in here because usually you get here from playing 3 mages and you're usually going to have a 3-star Nami. But if you don't have a 3-star Nami, you just drop this unit for Zoe and you'll still have 3 mages in, because Zoe has a higher cap. And your front line is just going to be Sylas and Ornn, and you can play Yasuo for more damage. If you got here from the LILLIA route, you're generally going to have more Cavaliers, so your board might look something like this instead. In this case, you're just going to have Hecarim and Sejuani instead. Last but not least, it's going to be DAEJA. DAEJA is a roll at level 7 comp, and you should only play this comp if it's a good Mirage Galaxy like Dawnbringer. You don't ever want to play this if you have Pirate's Greed because Pirate's Greed does nothing for your board strength. Best in slot DAEJA is going to be GS, Jewel Gauntlet, and IE. And at level 7, you just want to roll down for a board like this, like 6 Mirage. Additionally, you don't have to play 6 Mirage. You could just play 4 with Nunu. In this case, you're just dropping Yone and Leona for 2 other 2-star units. You're stable with the fully 2-star frontline and 1 DAEJA. In this case, you could just go 8 and then roll down for 2-star DAEJA and then hope you could get a 4th. So this sums up my flex guide for patch 12.13. I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you did, I would really appreciate it if you subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys next time.